Hey, welcome everybody. It is Dog Life Radio coming at you, episode number 22, all the way from Italy. Well, the gentleman I was talking to was in Italy. I wasn't, but it was still pretty damn cool. I was fortunate enough to have a conversation with a young man. Thank you, Johnny, and the rest of Peace Tribe, as always. Thank you, Johnny, for the intro. This young man named Luigi Dioguardi. What a beautiful name. I mean, really. It's just... Anyway, it was a great conversation. Luigi was an awesome guy. He is a professional strongman and currently Italy's strongest man in the 80 kilogram weight category, or 175 pounds for those of you who don't speak kilogram. Heathens here in the U.S. How dare you. We had a great conversation. We cover nutrition, not only strongman nutrition, but we talked about it with the spin of I really wanted to know what things were like in Italy. For those of you who have not been, including myself, the food in Italy is a hell of a lot better than it is here in the States for the most part. And yes, I am painting with a broad brush there. I am Italian, so I will say it. But again, it might not always be the types of food that you want to consume. As a strong man, at least one who's got a ceiling to his weight group. If you were a heavyweight with no top end, like I don't know, like Eddie Hall or Hafthor the Mountain, sure, you could eat all the pasta in the world. But anyway, we had a great conversation. Luigi's a cool guy. We got hooked up through another gentleman in his lifting group team out there in Italy. He's just outside of Naples, and the team is Wolfclan. But you're going to hear a little bit about that in that conversation. So I hope you enjoy listening as much as I had in talking. This was great. We will probably have Luigi on again sometime in the future just because, well, damn it, I like the guy. It was cool. Enjoy, people. Thanks for supporting the show. Remember to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, all at Dog Life Radio. Help me spread the good word, too, so share the links on whatever social media you prefer. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or follow it on Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, or wherever you're listening. So throw up a 4-star or 4-cloud or whatever. Thank you very much. It's the best way to help others find the podcast. And as always, send me any feedback. I would love to hear from you. dogliferadio@yahoo.com. On with the show. Okay, so we are live. This is Rossi Giugio on the phone with my first interview all the way from Italy, and I was so excited that this gentleman has taken the time out of his busy day to spend some time with us here to talk about training in Italy, training in general. So all the way from Italy. Luigi, thank you so much for joining us here on Dog Life Radio.
Thank you, man. It's an honor for me being interviewed by you. It's fantastic.
Thank you. So the first question I have for you, and I apologize, I should have done this beforehand before we started recording, but even though I'm Italian, I should know this, but how do you pronounce your last name?
It's funny because it's a very rare surname, but the spelling, the correct spelling is Dioguardi.
Dioguardi. Awesome. That's fantastic. All right. Yeah. So I guess. Go ahead.
It's like a blessing because Dio means God. Okay. And guardi means watch you. So it's like a blessing.
That's very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, so. Luigi, we were just talking, and so Luigi is a professional strongman all the way from Italy. We've had a couple of people on the show that are professional strongmen from different countries and so forth. So I really wanted to talk to you. I was looking forward to it. So the first thing I'll throw out there is just, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the sport of strongman?
Oh, well, it was like 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yes, 2 years ago. And it was with a friend of mine. We were just talking about strength sports, which are very rare here in Italy. It's not so many gyms that practice strength sports. So we were talking about powerlifting, CrossFit, Strongman, and it was like the lights in my eyes when I saw these giant people taking farmers, walking with heavy yokes, taking big atlas stone, and I was wow. I have to do it.
That's so cool. So you're only 2 years into your strongman career, and you have already achieved a very cool, very lofty title. You're the Italian strongest man under 80 kilograms for 2017.
Yes. It's amazing. It's amazing because just 2 weeks before the finals, I unfortunately had a bike accident. So it was sorry, the phone is ringing.
Not a problem.
Yes, I was saying before the finals, I had a bike accident, so it was very special to participate to the competition, and also I didn't expect to win. I'm honest.
Oh, really?
But it was, yes, because I just went out from working. It was Saturday, the 4th of November, just 2 weeks before the final, and a man in a car just went in the side of my bike, and I literally flied for 18 meters. So I felt like crap.
I can't imagine.
Yes, my ribs were hurting, my ankles were hurting, shoulders, neck. So the first thought when I was into the hospital, I said, man, the finals are gone. I was really demotivated. I trained for years for the finals, and in just one moment, it was like it was disappearing. My dream of participating to the finals. Then I spoke with my girlfriend. I spoke with my friends, and I said, well, I just want to see if in the next week I can walk, I can do the normal thing I do when I train. So I decided to take step to step, and it was getting better day by day. So I went to the finals 2 weeks later, and I won it, and it was really special.
That's so cool. So in the accident, you got hit by a car, and you got knocked 18 meters. You were saying. Now, you didn't break any bones or anything like that?
My ribs on the left side. It was not broken, but I don't say the right term. But it was just.
So they were
not broken.
Not broken, but they were heavily damaged, bruised, and separated or anything like that. That's unbelievable.
Yes, it was, and I couldn't walk. My ankles were hurting, like, oh man.
I can't imagine that. Oh.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story by itself. The fact that you didn't break any bones and end up in the hospital and permanent damage to it. Not only did that not happen, you then went on and actually competed. And not only competed, you won. That's incredible.
Yes. yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So, let's talk a little bit about your training leading up to the event. It sounded like you're very focused on this particular contest. I do know that you train with a a group in Italy. So can you talk a little bit about your the club you work with and some of the things that you'd like to focus on?
Yes. I train in my home gym, so I normally train alone or with some friends, but they didn't compete. So I train here in my house, and when I decided to take my actual performances to another level, I decided to hire a coach. So I'm working right now for over a year with Kale Beck of Starting Strongman.
Yep, we know Kale. I actually interviewed Kale not too long ago. He's fantastic.
Yes, I know. I listened to the podcast.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome. That's awesome. He's a great guy. So you reached out to him to get your training and your coach to get you moving along.
Yes, because he was a lightweight strongman like me.
Yep.
But he's a short strongman. So for many events, he is strong, of course. But he had to find out actually what is the best technique. For example, to load the stone, carry a heavy sandbag, because it's not easy when you have short arms or you are a short person. It's very difficult to be good in these events.
Yep. Now, how tall are you, Luigi?
I don't know the exact translation in the metric in English, but I am 1 meter 80 centimeters.
1 meter 80 centimeters. Okay. We will work. I'll get that translated in a second. No problem. So, okay. So you're working with him on your technique because based on height and different size and proportion, it becomes more difficult to do certain events.
Yes. When you are short, you cannot reach so much. So you have to find out how to load properly a stone, for example.
No, that makes sense. So how did you do that with how did you work through that being he's not in Italy with you and you had to work obviously from two different countries across the planet to each other. How did you kind of work through those?
Well, he's using a private group on Facebook where every one of the athletes can post a video of his performances. For example, in training, if you have some issues or some problems, for example, with log clean and press, you can have a video of yourself and post it on this private group. So Cal can tell you everything on how to improve it if you are doing something wrong. This is the technique part, of course, which is very important. But on the specific request you can give him, he's going to throw you some of his training, of course. If you tell him you have to prepare for a competition, for example, the finals we had a month ago, I can tell him what are the events, and he's showing me a good program to progressing with those events, of course.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I know Kale is huge in the strongman community and world. So if you're a follower of strongman, strong women, you know who Kale Beck is. And just throwing it out there for everybody who's listening, not in Italy, who doesn't know what 1.8 meters is, it's about 5'9", and I spoke earlier about being in the under 80 kilogram. That's around 175, 176 pounds. Just so everybody's on the same page. I'll have to work on converting that to stone, but I think that might be good enough for now.
Yes.
So let's keep going with some of your some questions, some more questions about training. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of your favorite implements, favorite movements, and things that you love to train, and then maybe we'll flip it and do the ones that you don't like working on.
Well, the first one that comes to my mind is the farmer's carry. It was the first event that I trained when I didn't have any of the strongman equipment. So
Yep.
I carried heavy dumbbells. It was great, and I think it would be a great exercise also not for strongman. Even if you are doing another sport, it could be I don't know, powerlifting. It could be weightlifting. It's still a great exercise.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that one. It hits, obviously it hits your grip. So you're talking about, powerlifting, absolutely. I could see it being beneficial in CrossFit as well, just because in CrossFit you're doing so much, functional training where you're carrying heavy weights from space to space, and so not just static lifting strength, but you're actually moving around a bit more. So yeah, I could definitely see that. And I like how you described it. So for the listeners who aren't at a gym that has a farmer's carry training equipment, you can use just regular dumbbells that are at any gym.
Yes. In fact, if you want to compete to a higher level, of course, you need the proper equipment. But if you need to improve, for example, your grip, your core tightness, you can use also heavy dumbbells. It's just fine in a regular gym. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's one of the favorites. What's one of the things when it comes up on your training program, when you look at it and you go, oh man, I got to do that. I can't stand it. I'm going to do it, but it's not one of the ones I'd prefer to do.
Okay, so I think maybe deadlift.
Oh yeah.
Maybe. I'm strong in the deadlift, but it is a very taxing exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to warm up properly. You need to move properly, or you can get injured very easy. But it is a great movement. I always do deadlift in my week of training. It's fine, but I need to focus on deadlift a lot.
So is that? Yeah, I absolutely, I 100% agree on the warm up aspect of deadlifts. Seems to me like it's one of those events or one of those exercises that it more than others, if you don't spend the time to warm up, you're going to just tweak something. And when you tweak your back, and I've done it a number of times, it doesn't just wreck your session. It wrecks the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days and sessions. It just can have such a huge impact on everything that you're trying to do.
Yes, and of course in strongman, if you tweak your back, for example, you can do deadlift, you can do farmers, you can do squats, you can do almost anything. You can just sit and press.
Yes.
So
yep.
It is very important to warm up properly and always don't get injured, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were saying that that's an area that you'd like to focus on. Is that, I don't want to use the term your weakest area, but the area that you would most like to improve to help your performance in upcoming events?
I'm always telling Carl that we need to work on presses, bench press, overhead press, any kind of press. Because it is, yes, my weakest event. Yes,
Oh.
I'm not that weak, but it is the pressing in general as a movement. I have to work a lot to see just a few improvements. So yes, it is my demon.
You know, it's funny because the pressing movement, it's applicable to so many different events in a strongman contest. So, you know, regardless of, I guess, you know, where you're at, there's just so many different ones, and the transferable strength pieces to it. So absolutely can see how that's something to focus on.
Yes. Pressing and deadlift, the hip extension power, it is like the fundamental of the strongman. Yes, of course.
Yeah. So as we're talking about things that you want to continue to improve upon and work on as you move forward, do you have any? I guess what's coming up next? What are maybe the next events, and then beyond that, what are some bigger, longer term goals for you in strongman?
Oh, well, the long-term goal, of course, is getting stronger in general. Yes, we talk about with Cal, and we have the same vision on that. You can focus, of course, on the short term, on I don't know, pressing, deadlift, moving event, but on the long term, what pays off really is getting stronger in general, because in strongman it's not like powerlifting. When you have standard barbells or you have regular weights, in strongman every implement is different from the others. So you can find in a competition, for example, a bigger log, or for example thicker farmer's implement. So you have to train with the proper implements, of course, but it's better to be strong in general. So if you find for example a log that is bigger than mine, for example, I can still clean it in the proper way, so I can press it well, of course. So it's not like a problem. For example, the barbell is not the standard size, for example, in powerlifting. So you can adapt it. You can adapt it with everything.
No, that makes perfect sense, and you see a lot of that because, when you do power lift, and I used to do some myself. You've got your standard bar. It's the same width, the same. The gnarls are in the same spot. It's going to be standard no matter where you go. The platform's the same, everything. Where you go and do a deadlift at a strongman event, you never know. Maybe it's going to be kind of more of an axle where it's thicker and you can't get your hand all the way around. Maybe you're going to be using straps, maybe not. All of that could differ from event to event. So the overall strength is much more important than the specific aspect of it.
Yes. There are a lot of strong guys. For example, on the squat, on the bench, on the deadlift. But strongman is completely different. You have to move, for example, with the heavy weights. You have to move weird object. So it's better. It's better to be strong overall, or not being specialized with some type of equipment.
Yep, absolutely. So it's like if you're ever going to move from your apartment to another place, you got to call a strongman, not necessarily a power lifter.
Yes. Of course.
Oh, man. So I wanted to ask you about if you could describe for us kind of like your regular day, when you're waking up, when you train in the day, like if you're a morning trainer, afternoon, how you balance that with everything else that's going on in your life.
Usually I train in the morning, usually, but sometimes with the work with the person I train here in my home gym. I sometimes train in the afternoon or the evening. So it's kind of rotation of my training. But usually I train in the morning.
Okay. Now, do you find when you schedule your stuff in the morning or in the evening, do you shift your workouts? Like if you were planning on doing deadlifts and now all of a sudden you've got to train in the morning or in the afternoon, do you shift your workout around?
No.
It's locked in and that's it, and you're going to do it whenever you can get to the gym.
Yes.
Excellent.
I don't change the days. I just change the time. If I can train on the morning, it's fine. If I can train in the evening, it's fine too. I just go to work. I work in a society that rent cars for a long time period. So when I finish the work, I go and I train here in my house.
Excellent. Let's shift off of training for a little bit, if you don't mind. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your diet and nutrition. I know personally when if I'm going to Mom's house for dinner, generally we're going to have pasta, and she'll make it from scratch, being the Italian mom that she is. And I think probably, at least in this part of the United States, when people think about Italy, they think about the fantastic foods and the pastas and everything. But talk to me about what you're eating and how you work through that.
Yes, I eat a lot. So,
I would imagine a lot, yeah, that's for sure.
I'm a lightweight strongman, but I eat a lot. So the first thing I want to say, I don't eat junk food on the weekend. I can eat a pizza with my friends, for example. But in the week, I try to eat a lot of healthy food, rice, bread, meat, fish, fruit, a lot of these healthy food. Because yes, nutrition is very important. You can have a great workout, but you need to fuel your body with the proper food, of course, or otherwise you can have some deficiencies in your performance.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have a nutritional coach, or are you kind of tackling it yourself?
No, I don't have a nutrition coach.
Yep.
I try to eat more or less like a carb cycling. So there are weeks that I eat more carbs,
yep,
and less fats. And other weeks when I need to take 1, 2, or maybe 3 kilos down, I eat less carb and a lot more of fats.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and some of the conversations that we've had here on Dog Life Radio in the past. Excuse me, I was talking with a heavyweight strongman, and he was moving more into a ketogenic type of a diet, where he was looking to peel off some of his fat and continue to build some strength.
Yes, it's fine. It's fine as well. But you need to be very experienced with this kind of diet. You need to have 1 or 2 years of experience with heavy training and also diet, maybe for a competition to diet down. But I don't suggest this kind of diet to a new person that is lifting weights for the first time ever, or maybe a strongman that is coming to a new competition for the first time. I just want to suggest him to take care of his weight, actual weight, without cutting down, and to try to eat some healthy food to perform well, in his first competition, because it is already it's already hard to compete well in strongman for the first time. So you need to be at 100%.
No, that makes it makes sense. I can understand where you're coming from there. Learning the complexities of the actual sport first, combined with maybe changing your diet. Yeah, I've seen a lot of different. I've had a lot of different conversations and seen a lot of different people approach things differently and kind of doing different types of cycles when it comes to their food. In the sense of, using more of that ketogenic to try to lean out, and then maybe shifting back and carbing up as they're getting closer to different events or contests in that strength performance world. So, and actually, and a follow-up question was going to be about supplements. Do you take any supplements, like vitamins, protein, anything along those lines?
Yes, I take supplements, whey protein, of course, vitamin, omega-3. And also branched chain amino acid.
All right. Yeah, usually around a similar piece. It feels like as people focus so much more on eating the right things and staying away from the processed foods and the junk foods, you're getting a ton of your vitamins and minerals from your food. And then I guess as I talk more with people in the strongman community, you just need to eat a ton. You need to eat so much food. And even as an 80 kilogram competitor, how many calories do you think you're eating in a day?
For a strongman competitor under 80 kilos, yes.
Do you... go ahead.
Maybe it is a very random number. Maybe 200 to 1,005, maybe.
Yeah, that's a lot of food you're packing in. Oh, I was going to ask you, are you cutting any weight to make your 80 kilogram limit, or are you just walking in the door totally hydrated and ready to go?
It depends. If I'm off season, I tend to have more weight than 80 kilos, maybe 82, 83. 84, it is my maximum weight.
Yeah.
And if I'm near a competition, what I do, I try to be under 80 kilos, very far from the competition. So what I do, I'm 83 kilos, for example. I have 2 months before the competition, so I bring down to maybe 78, 77, and I hit more when the competition comes closer. So I go through the competition not in a deficit state of energy. I try to eat more near the competition, but I go down under the weight, of course, very far from the competition, so I can rebuild my energy. I can fuel my body when the competition comes closer.
That makes sense. I know weight cutting is a huge topic of conversation and a controversial one in many sports, more in like mixed martial arts, fighting, in that regard, where people seem to be doing it in reverse of what you're saying, where they're coming into an event over the weight limit, looking to then cut weight or dehydrate themselves or take that water weight out, so they make the weight limit and then rehydrate over the course of the next day, so then they can go and compete, where you're coming in at a different approach, which is something that's pretty new in the MMA world as well, where people are fighting in a class above the typical because they feel as though they can perform much better at that weight class.
Yes. I know about the weight in the mixed martial arts, for example, but they dehydrate their body a lot So I wouldn't suggest it. You need to be very experienced to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many dangerous things that could happen with that. I mean, I'd rather see people taking, their diet and nutrition into their own hands as opposed to trying to weight cut on their own. Where there's been instances of, there was actually a young girl in, where was she? In Australia or something like that, where she was a Muay Thai fighter and she was cutting weight and she died. It was just happened in the past 3 weeks maybe. Things can go drastically wrong.
Yes, of course. You have to be. You need to be very, very experienced in training, for example, for competing, of course, but also how you approach your diet if you are competing for a certain competition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Luigi, when I was talking about what I think of when I think of Italian food and cuisine, I think of like the pastas and the wonderful sauces. I'm a complete and total red sauce fan. When you think of the United States in food, what do you think of?
Oh, man.
It's a loaded question, I know, but it's okay. You can say anything.
The first thing that comes to my mind, I've never been in the United States, so it is my dream to come. But the first thing is a food that comes to my mind is the hot dog.
A hot dog, there you go, yeah. I got to tell you, I would much rather have a plate of spaghetti and meatballs or a chicken parmesan or lasagna way over having a hot dog. So it is such a letdown. Definitely if you ever do make it out here, you got to have one, but it's not the same thing.
Yes, of course. If you come here in Naples, you have to taste our foods. Pizza, pasta, everything here is great. Of course. That's
definitely on my list. As we were saying before we started the recording, my family on my mother's side is from Naples, and it would be incredible to get out there. And I would imagine I would come in there a lightweight, but come home as a heavyweight.
Yes, of course. You cannot have a competition close to your travel here.
That's
it's
for sure.
Not possible.
Luigi, what do you do for fun? What do you do to relax and kind of de-stress?
I usually go out with my friends and of course with my girlfriend, but I don't have a specific hobby, if you mean this.
Yep. Okay. Well, I find when you're so focused on competing in your sport, the actual training is the piece of getting de-stressed. Well, I find that a lot of times high level athletes and competitors feel better after they've trained because it's that's what I need to do. I need to work on my deadlift, my squats, my yoke, and that actually goes a long way as opposed to go to the movies or go out dancing or something like that.
Yes, that's the magic of training. You crush yourself, but after training, you are fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to train again, of course, but you feel good.
That's so cool. Let's see. I want to be conscious of your time, and I don't want to eat up all of your afternoon into the evening. But I did have just a couple more quick questions for you. Yes. I wanted to ask you about you're obviously a fan of Strongman, so you follow the sport. What happened at World's Strongest Man not too long ago? Do you have one of your favorite competitors that competes at that world level at the in the heavyweight categories?
Yes. Zidrunas is my favorite.
Big Z, Gato.
Big Z.
So do you see him coming back and coming back to Worlds this upcoming year? Because it definitely looked like coming back was definitely a big step for him this year, and it just didn't feel like he had the event that is typical of Zydrunas.
Yes, he had some problems in his shoulders, in his neck last year. So he was not 100%, of course. But he already showed us that he can come back stronger every time. He's a bit older than his golden age, if we can say. But yes, he can actually come back stronger and have a great fight with the other guys, in particularly Brian Shaw, which is the world's strongest man, actually. We can say it.
Yeah, it's funny because, Eddie Hall wins it, as he's an incredible competitor. You can't take anything away from him. But yeah, I mean, Brian Shaw also had some problems with Z having some problems, and it's interesting. I'm looking forward to next year's competition immensely. The piece that kind of throws a monkey wrench in it for me anyway is as I watch Hafthor Bjornsson, Thor. He seems to be increasing his static strength by leaps and bounds. He looks like he's going to hit 1,000-pound squat any day now. And it's just absolutely amazing. And when you said Big Z's not in his golden age or his prime, he is a little bit on the older side, but you can see a lot of these competitors at the Strongman, they don't seem to really fully hit their maturity till a little bit later in life.
Yes, it's true. You were talking about Hafthor. If we go back and we see how he was squatting, for example, 3, 4, 5 years old, he had an amazing journey, and now he's much stronger than he was 5 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, he's one of the guy to beat for Big Z. But yes, you were saying right. Big Z has got the maturity and the experience, of course, to come back stronger.
Yeah, I kind of have to root for Big Z myself, just because he's got old man strength, and I'm an old man, maybe. So I like to see him go out there and beat some of those younger guys.
Yes. He's a legend. He's a living legend.
Absolutely. I think, you could see him and Shaw maybe alternate winning the next couple of them. But then I think in a couple of years, you're going to see Thor probably just walk away with, he'll probably bang off a few of them in a row as Shaw and Z age of, 2, 3, 4 more years. And Thor will be kind of coming into his own in his early 30s. So you could see him kind of put together a string of wins as well.
Yes, everything can happen.
Yeah,
as you can see.
Absolutely. Well, Luigi, I just want to thank you so much. But before we go, I'm going to give you the chance to plug any of your sponsors, your social media accounts. So if anybody wants to see more of you, some more of your training, pictures you're on Instagram, why don't you go ahead and plug any of those websites or social media and your sponsors?
Yes, first thing, I want to thank my team and my teammates. You can follow us on Wolfclan Strongman, which is my team, on Instagram, on Facebook, on all the social media. And I also want to thank my sponsor, which is Fairlab Fit, which makes gym equipment for strongmen, for powerlifting, CrossFit, so everything related to strength sports and fitness. If you want to follow Fairlab, you can find it on Facebook, on the Facebook page, and also on Instagram. Okay, so if you want to find more about us, you can find on the team page Wolfclan Strongman, and also Fairlab Fit, which is the sponsor that makes the equipment for us.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Good luck with everything, and thanks for being the first strongman from Italy to be on Dog Life Radio.
Thank you, man. It is an honor for me.
Hey, people. I hope you like that one. Luigi's a hell of a guy. Make sure you follow him on his Instagram handle. Check out his Facebook page and all those great people at Wolfclan over there in Italy. So, once again, thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day, people. Make it the best.